Hello there, Seraphim17 once again. This is my Gravity Daze walkthrough. We are on episode 11. It is entitled Thick Skin. So this is essentially exactly what we just did in the previous video, minus the trippy LSD landscape. This is back in the real world, and we're going to be taking out all these targets that are marked on our map, and when we do so, it's going to injure the HP bar at the bottom of the screen. Which I have to talk about, because I love HP bars, I really do. I'm a massive fan of the very contrived, very old school, archaic design philosophy of having the boss's bar at the bottom in a big bar. I'm not a big fan of life bars on enemies, I'm not a big fan of no life bars, and I'm not a big fan of other variants of showing how much life a boss has that does not include some kind of signification in a bar. I don't know what it is. I appreciate artistic approaches to trying to show, damage in a different light, but there is something about a HUD element that shows me the boss's life in an awesome bar, that shows me the awesome chunks I'm taking off, that I just find to be perfect for me. I love it, I really do. It's something that I've always appreciated, always liked, and it's also something that's not as popular nowadays, because it's viewed as being, get this, too gamey, which I will never understand. But is there a bad side or a downside to having this kind of information on the screen? Yeah, there is. Nothing is perfect. Everything has both good and bad in its values. And I think one of the worser parts of having a boss life bar is seeing how insignificant your hits are. Because I think it can be incredibly demoralizing, and it's something that is way more psychological than anything else, if you believe that video games can have a psychological aspect, which for some reason some people don't, which I've never understood, especially in competitive games where there are two people warring. There is a whole bunch of psychology happening at that moment, but some people are very diminutive towards video games because they're the thing that untested serial killers do before they go on their murder sprees from their parents' basements, where they sharpen their knives and torture small animals, because we're all antisocial future killers. Remember that, guys. It's never the rowdy, noisy neighbour that's outside sitting on his lawn drinking cider at 2 in the afternoon. It's never that guy that becomes the murderer. It's always the super nice, quiet one who's kept to himself. Have you noticed that? I hate that report on news. It's one of the ones that bugs me the most, Oh, he always seemed like such a nice person. Yeah, because he liked you probably, and he didn't want to stick a knife through your eye. He didn't like those other women, that's why he took their skin. Come on now, fucking hell. You don't know anything about anybody, really. You can't just be, oh, he looked like such a nice guy, Always picked up after himself, he took bins out, brought them in. None of that shit. Like, yeah. He brought his bins in and out on time because he was probably getting rid of bones in them. Come on now. It's the same story every time. He was just, the nicest person. And it's the same when someone dies. Have you noticed that? Somebody dies. They could have been the child equivalent of, like, fucking Hitler or Himmler or just insert war criminal that you don't like. They could have been that person in spirit. Just a poisonous, venomous, evil human being who did nothing good and just did everything to better his own self and hurt everyone else. Yet the moment that motherfucker dies prematurely, everyone's like, it was such a nice kid, heaven's truly earned an angel, we've lost such a resource, a perfect specimen of a human kindness. And it's like, no, he was a cunt. He was a 24-carat cunt, and I'm glad he's dead. I hope he's dying again in hell. Like, fuck that guy. There's always this, I hate it, I really do. Like, we suddenly forget what these people were like in life just because they've died, but perhaps before their time, when really, judging by their actions, should they really have had time? I don't think so, and I'm glad that they were killed, or died, or fell off something, or got stabbed or something. Like, it belittles the tragedy that is the other people who pass away. The person who did nothing but great things, nothing but awesome things to other folk, and then ended up getting something really stupid. Like, you hear it all the time, don't you? Those stories of people who help, like, methadone patients, and then one of them ends up needing to score some heroin, so it stabs its care worker to death to burgle their fucking house so it can score more drugs, because that's a broken human being who just, he's too far gone. Yet that woman did nothing wrong her entire life, helped everybody, was completely selfless, and got murdered because she was trying to help these people. And she gets the same kind of eulogy as Johnny Wanker, who bullied everyone at school and left school to go into a career of crime, beating up old women, mugging old men, like, you know, all that kind of nasty shit. And then he dies and he's a fucking angel. You know, they don't call him the equivalent of a scurvy, drivelled, gangrenous foot that should be cut off, burnt and buried. They're like, oh my god, we've lost such a great man. Like, fuck you. And I have no idea where that came from, but you will notice I am dive kicking this boss a lot, and I'm trying not to get hit by its big old bukkake blast. That is pretty much the strategies you're going to be seeing for a lot of these fights, and it's taking this long because I don't have any upgrades on my attacks, which I recommend you do. I don't recommend you abstain from them, because they are useful. But thank you very much for watching, guys. I hope you're enjoying Gravity. The film with Sandra Bullock and George Clooney, of course, Gravity Daze. And yeah, you take care now.